The Queen, the most powerful piece in chess. She moves freely across the checkered board and every single square is grateful to be at her feet. Tragedy becomes poetry as she gracefully corners her opponents only to snatch their lives. And as powerful as she is, she's protected. There's 15 other pieces willing to lay down their lives to save hers. And just a quick public service announcement for those that can play chess. Let's pretend that the king doesn't exist for the sake of my point. Thanks for your cooperation, management. See it, say it, sorted. Before the next game, she commands the rest of her kingdom to leave the board. The next game is hers. All the pieces on her side almost sprouted facial expressions to show their confusion, but how could a subordinate oppose the queen unless they wanted their head on a stick? From a distance, the opposing kingdom couldn't contain their gladness as they maladaptively envisioned their clean sweep. Obviously, we're not chess pieces, but sometimes we act as if it's us against the world, us against the like the way in which I've described. When independence begins bridging into hyper-independence, it doesn't feel like a problem until you start struggling in certain situations because of it. An extreme sense of self-sufficiency can allow you to prosper in some areas of life, but it may be leveled out by some areas you're struggling as a result of it. If something goes wrong, who's in your corner? You've had enough time to think. I can't answer that for you, but I can write you an essay on hyper-independence to prompt your own personal introspection. Let's get into it. Part 1. The difference. Independence versus hyper-independence. Without independence, there's no innovation. We'd be hundreds of years behind where we are now simply because we're always asking each other what to do. Have you ever overheard a couple's "you decide"? "No, oh my god, babe, you decide." "Babe, I don't know, you decide." "No, but you decide." Conversation. This is how I imagine a world without independence, except this is the conversation we're all having all the time. Rather than using the God-given organs seated behind our foreheads, we would rather seek everyone else's direction, which results in never-ending deliberation and no action. And if independence is so necessary, why is hyper-independence so bad, you ask, even if you didn't? You've probably heard the phrase, "too much of a good thing is a bad thing," and it applies to this question. Hyper-independence is defined as an extreme form of independence, where an individual insists on doing everything themselves, even if it's unhelpful or when they really need help from others. It's as though you're in a pitch black room fighting a Goliath-like monster who has incredible night vision. No windows, no doors. There's a light switch hidden in the room and it's your only hope of making it out alive. There are many different alternate realities where you're fighting this monster. In one reality, you don't even know that there's a light switch. You're stuck swinging aimlessly at your opponent and it's a useless effort because you're unable to anticipate the unforgivable blows that you receive into every inch of your body. You've just assumed that this is a losing battle and you suck it up and face it due to your lack of knowledge. In another reality, you know that there's a light switch but you don't know where to find it. You're more confident squaring up with a literal beast than taking the time to find a switch. You can't possibly get distracted because it wastes too much time. There's more chance of you surviving alone than trying to find any assistance. In a third reality, you know that there's a light switch, you know where it is, but you don't even bother flipping the switch. And your thought process is as follows. What if it doesn't work? What if there's no bulb? Whether the light is on or off, am I not still fighting a literal monster in the dark? Like, come on now, I might as well do it for the plot. This might sound illogical, but you may be applying this kind of attitude towards your life problems without realizing it. And for everyone in the world who's a bit slow, like, don't worry, I will never forget about you. You're just as important as everyone else. So the light switch represents seeking help or guidance from others, and your personal decision to flip the switch, seek help, leads to getting light, receiving help. Regardless of the situation, the reality is that you're fighting alone and your current knowledge and or perception of the world prevents you from accessing a more sustainable alternative. Part 2. The why. Why a hyper-independent attitude towards life isn't sustainable. Traits of hyper-independence are seemingly great on paper. This is seen when we consider our professional lives. A quick Google search tells you that traits of hyper-independence are associated with that of focus, creativity, and entrepreneurial spirit, which are ideal in workplace environments. However, sometimes characteristics born out of the dove soloist attitude may not cut. You can only expand on so many good ideas, protect yourself so much, and solve so many problems without any guidance whatsoever. No matter how smart we are, vigilant we are, responsible we are, whatever it is, we have limits and vulnerabilities that can only be made up for by others. In keeping to independence 24/7, your growth and knowledge and power is limited. A lot of things are a game of collaboration and numbers. It's why we see nepotism, crooked politics, and one person being left defenseless and left for dead when they get rushed. This limitation is extended into your personal relationships and not just the romantic ones. Independence is a necessity in relationships, don't get me wrong. I don't know about you, but whether it's my friend, my lover, or my imaginary friend Sally, shout out Sally, following me around like a private investigation officer trying to collect evidence to prosecute me for my crimes against food, because I've eaten some mad things when I'm struggling, is bound to rub me the wrong way. However, being independent to the point where whoever you're around feels like a useless egg is not the way to go unless you fancy being human repellent. Like, that's perfectly fine. Like, if that's the way you're trying to go, like, it's calm. Anyways, obviously our childhoods and our life experience play a role in this behavior. However, regardless of the cause, the same outcome stands. You'll still have things to work on whether your thought processes were your fault or not. And it took me a little while to understand this fully. And it's kind of annoying because, like, how can someone do something to you and you're the one who has to go and undo it now? Like, life's not fair, but like, it just gets like that, innit? Sometimes we think that rejecting every offering someone has to us or refusing to seek help from other people is to prove that we can do everything ourselves, but sometimes it comes off as, yeah, I don't like you for real and by the way you stink, without it realizing. And sometimes just accept the gestures and give thanks. I don't know who needs to hear this, but like, just accept the gesture. Just accept it today. You can do it by yourself. They know you can do it by yourself, but it's just courtesy. Like, there's no reason to make a point of being able to do everything by yourself, because when you really think about it, sometimes your refusal to take any kindness from others results in you looking like the meme below, and that meme is hella ugly, so just stop. Like, stop. Part 3. The how. How to have a balance between independence and dependence. In Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek, there's a story of 4 rams against 1 lion, and it displays the power of strength in numbers. A lion, as the predator, seeks out every opportunity to devour all these rams at once. Big bad behavior, not the mirror, or what a loser. Anyways, the rams protect themselves by banding together at the tail and bucking their horns together to create a 4-dimensional shield. It wards off the lion. However, when the rams turn on each other and go their separate ways, the lion picks them apart, quite literally, one by one. If you're inclined towards an if I don't do it myself, it's not getting done mentality, which I do myself, I won't lie, sometimes it's because you haven't even sought the help of others to begin with, so you don't understand the power of it. It may even take a situation where you get devoured, spat out, and flung around and around and around and around we go by life to realize this. You can practice building up the courage to seek support through sharing unimportant tasks with others to build the habit of letting things get done by someone other than you. Practicing little by little rather than doing a whole trust fall into delegating tasks is like becoming a Roblox character, dying and respawning immediately. There's minimal risk. For example, if you're like that guy who does everything in a group project and refactors everyone's work as soon as they hand it in, take the least important task, like with the least amount of marks, assign it to someone else and don't check it before you hand it in. That way, you'll exercise teamworking and take work off your plate. And if they flop, it's fine because it's insignificant anyways. And if they don't flop, you subconsciously rewired your brain to be more open to collaborative work and be more open to like trusting others and like. Another way to balance your dependence with your independence is to be completely honest about your limits. Like, who are you holding up your ego for? Are we not all going to go to the grave in the end? The answer is yes. So be honest with yourself, because what does it profit you to pretend that you can handle more than you're given? Like, come on now. This isn't to say don't take on challenges, because that's how we learn and improve at anything. But if these challenges are wiping you off your feet, either literally or figuratively, like you're a contestant on Total Wipeout, chances are you need to scale it back just a little bit. Like, just take a little bit of a breather. You don't want to drive yourself to depression or even madness trying to seem strong in the world's face. Suck it up and ask for help the same way that you're sucking it up and doing it yourself. Like, come on now. It takes the same amount of effort. All this starts with questioning your behavior. Over time, the actions will naturally follow. One way that I do this is like imagining that people can see right through me to the struggles in my life already. And it just makes it easier for me to open up, because if I've tricked myself into thinking that you already know, like, I'm just going to tell you, innit? Because you know already. Sometimes the Lulu is the Salulu. Sometimes the Lulu is the Lulu. You know what I mean, innit? Anyways, to conclude, when you carry around characteristics indicative of hyper-independence, it becomes hyper-isolation before you know it. The more disconnected we get, the harder it is to remember how to be a person without the fend for yourself mentality. Sometimes you need help, and it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It literally just means that you're a person. And scripture says that though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves, and a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. And if you disagree with that, something might not be okay upstairs. Just wanted to let you know. All in all, trying to solo everything makes you a target because we aren't designed to navigate the world like that. Sometimes dependence is the strength that independence lacks. Anyways, until next time, Alicia. Be a dog.